What if our whole timeline of ancient civilization is wrong? I mean, really wrong. That's the big question we're digging into today. And, the clues aren't where you might expect. They're buried in the deserts and mountains of Peru.
Okay, when you hear the word pyramids, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Egypt, right? It's almost a reflex. But what if I told you there's evidence of a super complex civilization in Peru that was building massive cities and monuments before the Great Pyramid of Giza was even finished? Yeah, you heard me, before. And we're not just talking about one or two sites here. To put it in perspective, Egypt has about 140 known pyramids. Peru has thousands, seriously. Now, most of them have eroded over time, so they just look like big earthen mounds. And the wild part is, they're completely undocumented, unexplored, and unprotected. It's a hidden history that's literally washing away right before our eyes. So you might be wondering, who's out there uncovering all this? You'd think it's some huge university-funded project, right? Nope. It's a video editor named Raul Bilecki, and he started his entire search using a tool that's on your phone right now, Google Earth. After just spotting these strange shapes on satellite images, Bilecki actually traveled to Peru, a lot of the time by himself, to be the very first person to document these places with modern tech. He's now got over 5 terabytes of unique, high-res drone footage of sites that, for the most part, don't even appear in any official database. So this brings us to the crucial question. Just how old are we talking here? Well, many of these undocumented structures look shockingly similar to the Coral Supe civilization. And we know from radiocarbon dating that the city of Coral was founded way back around 3000 BCE. So let that sink in. That means a complex city with pyramids was flourishing in the Americas at roughly the same time as the famous ones in ancient Egypt. But it's the physical evidence, the actual clues left behind in the stone, that really starts to blow up the official timeline of how technology is supposed to work. Now this is where it gets really, really interesting. At site after site, you see the same pattern. There are 2 totally distinct layers of history. On top, you have kind of crude construction, small stones, mud bricks, the kind of work we associate with known cultures like the Inca. But underneath that, you find something that just seems impossible. These foundations are made of multi-ton megalithic blocks, and they're cut with what looks like laser precision, all fitted together with 0 mortar. And at one site called Vignac, these impossibly advanced foundations don't just sit on the surface. They go down an incredible 50 feet. This isn't just reusing old material. This is hard evidence of a much older, way more advanced chapter of history that got literally buried. And the weirdness doesn't stop there. You've got the famous interlocking stones at Sacsayhuaman, which are so precise they honestly look like they were melted into place. On some stones, there's this strange red crust, like a veneer, and where it's cracked, it looks like a totally different stone is underneath. It all just points to some kind of lost technology. There are even indigenous legends that talk about plants that could soften stone. How incredible is that? This should be such an amazing story of discovery, right? But there's a really dark side to all this, because just as we're starting to understand this incredible lost history, it is being actively and sometimes violently erased. And what's the driving force? Well, it's simple: money. An estimated $18 million in artifacts are smuggled out of Peru every single year. And we're not talking about a few guys with shovels. This is an industrial-scale looting operation. The drone footage shows the devastating results. I mean, imagine an 8-kilometer stretch of desert that looks like the surface of the moon, just covered in thousands of illegal holes from looters. And what's scattered among them? Ancient mummies, torn apart by people just looking for jewelry. Their bones left to rot in the sun. It's just horrifying. This really puts the whole problem into perspective. Peru has thousands of these ancient sites, but only a tiny fraction are officially on the books, and an even smaller sliver are actively protected. The vast majority, they're completely vulnerable, basically a free-for-all for looters and developers. So you're probably asking yourself, if the evidence is this compelling and the destruction is this bad, why isn't every archaeologist in the world rushing to Peru? Well, this is where we get into the battle for the narrative itself. A lot of independent researchers point to this phenomenon called academic gatekeeping. It's basically when new evidence, especially evidence that just completely challenges the established timeline, gets dismissed by the mainstream without even a proper investigation. And it's often done to protect existing theories, reputations, and, of course, funding. And you can see this debate playing out everywhere. For that amazing stonework, the mainstream explanation is, oh, that's just generations of Inca skill. But the challenging evidence is that two-layer construction where the technology actually seems to get worse over time. For the thousands of uncatalogued sites, the official line is often, those are just natural hills. But the drone footage and GPS data prove many are man-made megalithic structures. It's a clear conflict between the accepted story and the actual evidence on the ground. So, this isn't just about some rocks and ruins in a country far away. This is about our fundamental understanding of the entire human story. Is our history really the straight line of progress, or is it something else entirely? You know, the traditional view of history is pretty linear. We went from cavemen to farmers to us. And hey, we are the pinnacle of human achievement. But the evidence from Peru really supports a more cyclical view, that advanced civilizations may have risen and fallen multiple times, and that huge amounts of knowledge can be lost to time, just waiting to be rediscovered. And we have barely even scratched the surface of what's out there. I mean, consider Huanaco Pampa, a massive, stunningly complex site. The official estimate? It's only about 8% excavated. 8%. What lies beneath the other 92%? What secrets are waiting under thousands of other sites just like it?
This lost chapter of human history is being destroyed faster than we can even read it. The clues are right there, buried in the Peruvian desert, but the clock is ticking. And the question we're all left with is, will we find the answers before they're gone forever?